Hello BookTube, my name is Chrissy and welcome to my channel. Also, this is another episode of Reviewing Romance, where I take a romance book, or really any book with a romance, and I look at the relationship. I look beyond the physical aspects of it and look at, are they working well as a couple, as a pair? The book that I am reviewing the romance of today is Boy Toy by Sarina Bowen and Tanya Eby. The couple that is in this book is Sadie and Liam. Sadie is a 34-year-old woman with two twin daughters, or just a twin daughters. I don't know how you say that. And Liam is a 29-year-old man who works with children at a kind of daycare. He's also doing his master's program in child psychology, I believe it is, or child development. One of those two things. I'm pretty sure it's child development because he talks about education and how kids learn, so I'm pretty sure it's that. And it's about their relationship, how they get together, if they stay together. Much like my first episode of Reviewing Romance, I will be basing relationship status on these 5 factors: chemistry, kindness/respect, compatibility, communication, and trust. Now, a few other brief bits of information about this book is Sadie recently gets divorced at the beginning of the book. She takes primary custody of her children, of her 2 daughters, Amy and Kate, and she's now having to put them into a daycare because she has to work full-time and she's not able to care for them for herself. She did hire nannies, but nannies have seemed to just not worked out well for her. The first nanny was the one who ran off with her husband. Subsequent nannies just kind of fell through. When she puts them into daycare, she meets Liam, who is one of the caregivers at this daycare. And it so happens that Liam was a young boy who she babysat when she was 20. So he wasn't too young. He was like 14 or 15. So they're 5 years apart, and she was 20 at the time. She really took care of his younger siblings. He had always had a crush on her, and so that, spurs kind of that attraction on his side, and then he just grew up, I guess, to be just a very handsome gentleman. So that's the beginning of the book, and that's the premise. Now let's get into it. The first we have is chemistry, and I actually hummed and hawed about whether or not to give this half a heart or a full heart for chemistry, and not because they don't have chemistry in a physical type of sense. Both of them are very, very much attracted to one another, but it seems like most of the liking one another came more on Liam's end as far as personality goes. He just had more memories of Sadie when she was his babysitter and the kind things that she would do for him, such as letting him stay up late and watch horror movies with him, how she would talk with him and how she was very respectful while she was his babysitter. And it just seems like, for the most part, Sadie really just likes Liam for his abs. And then later on, she likes him because he's good with kids. And it just seems kind of a shallow reason to like him. Like, it's not really looking any deeper. But it's very apparent that they like one another. So I'm putting it as a full heart for this. Next is kindness and respect. Now, this one I am putting at half a heart, and not because either are necessarily rude or mean to one another, but rather it seems a little bit sometimes one-sided as far as sacrifice, as far as, doing your best to try hard for the other person, more so on Liam's side than Sadie's side. So Liam goes out of his way to help watch her kids when she needs to and help her out in a general way and really keep her in mind. Whereas, granted, it's understandable, Sadie sometimes just doesn't really take Liam into consideration too much, or rather, she doesn't really say sorry or in a necessarily great way. And, for example, at one point, both Liam and Sadie's husband goes to her house at the same time. Liam knocks on the back door, and Sadie's ex-husband knocks on the front door, and right as she's answering the back door for Liam, and she hears that knock at the front, she slams the door in Liam's face and goes and deals with her ex-husband. Liam is very understanding about this. He is miffed, but he's very, very understanding that she's going through a lot, that she's dealing with this guy who isn't being the best father to his children, and she's going through it rough. But when Sadie goes back to answer the door for Liam, she gives this kind of insincere apology. It's just oh, sorry about that, and that's really it. And Granted, Liam does say something along the lines like, oh, just please make sure it doesn't happen again. There's no real conversation about that. There's no real sincerity about why it is that was kind of a dick move, right? So it's more on that kind of side, is where if Sadie does make a mistake, it seems like it's just this, oh, sorry, like this quick, not very sincere, not very genuine kind of thing pushing through. That kind of part threw me. Especially since Sadie is, don't think I said this before, but she is a couples therapist, so she deals with relationships, and she should know, like, I know that it's hard when you're in that profession to really think of it as something that you need to do as well, but take a step back, lady, and really look at what you're doing. The next one is Compatibility. This one I put half a heart, and the reason why is because it's very hammed up that Sadie thinks she's way too old for Liam. And I kind of laugh at this very, very much so, because I have friends who would think the same way, that 5 years younger is just far too young. And granted, when Sadie was 20, yes, 15, way too young. However, at the age of 34, if a 29-year-old wants to date you, then come on now, like, that is not too young. They're almost 30 anyway. They're almost at that cusp and over. It's fine. And even if he wasn't almost over 30, like if he was 27 or 28, I still think it would be fine. But they make a really big deal about how Sadie is just this cougar and all this kind of stuff. Really, I think of Sadie as a cougar in training. Like, you're not really a cougar, I think, until it gets a lot more age differency. But she really harps on that a lot. And with this insisting, it's kind of insulting to Liam at some point, and he tells her that, listen, I've been around the world, like, I've done things, and I'm getting into my career. It's not that I'm too young for you, it's that you are, having self-esteem issues about your age, which he does a lot of times. If it wasn't for the age thing between these two, and Sadie insisting that Liam is too young for her, I would have given this a full heart. Both of them are very much invested in like relationships and child development things. Like, that's Liam's whole shtick is child development and learning and helping kids grow. Whereas Sadie goes pretty much like to the parent side of things, where couples and building relationships and trust, both of them kind of delve into more of psyche and psychology along those lines. So if it wasn't for this whole Sadie being like, I'm a cougar, right? Like, no, you're not, lady, calm down. Then it would be more or less them being pretty compatible. He doesn't mind at all that she has twin girls. Like, he's not fazed one bit. He is very kind and compassionate both to her situation and to the two little girls in that situation as well. Next is communication. I'm going with half a heart for communication. And I think this is going to be the way this goes for every single romance that I delve into, because it seems like that's the biggest plot device that can be dropped in on a couple. And granted, it's very understandable why that is, but I just felt that there could have been a lot of other things going into this where there could have been problems. There could have been so many other obstacles between these two besides miscommunication with all that was going on in both their lives. But anyway, communication, they have miscommunication issues all over the place. Neither of them really tells the other one what they want until like the tail end of this book. Liam doesn't really tell Sadie that his intentions towards her at the beginning is one that he wants a relationship. He kind of lets it be that, oh yeah, no, we'll just mess around and it'll be fine. But instead, he does want a relationship, and he gets hurt that she takes him up on that no strings attached kind of hanky-panky, two-person tango, that sort of thing. Last but not least is trust. Now, I'm putting this at half a heart too, though. This was another one I hummed and hawed about whether or not to put a full heart or half a heart. And the reason why is because with that whole communication bit, neither of them really trust each other in terms of that initial relationship of, oh, they want to be around me, oh, they want to be near me. Rather, they keep thinking like, oh no, they just want me for my body, and this is just a fling, or whatever the case may be. And they don't really trust each other, even when they do say that I want to be around you, or whatever the case may be. So I'd put that at half a heart too. Otherwise, as far as like these two trusting each other's abilities and competencies is very high. They both trust each other with really important things. Like Sadie trusts Liam in that he is going to be kind to her children, and she asks him to watch them. And Liam trusts that Sadie is going to be a nice and genuine person when like he introduced her to his family and those kind of things. So if it wasn't for that miscommunication bit, then I think this trust level would go up, and they would, work it out and be together in a more trusting way. And granted, that happens at the end, but it would have been nice if it happened more at the beginning. So that leaves their relationship at 3 hearts, which isn't bad at all, and by all means, they don't have a horrible relationship in this book. It's just very much a cliched relationship in romance novels where, lack of communication, or there's one side that doesn't really show why they like this person other than they like their looks or their abs or their butt. So I did like this book. It was very easy to read. It was fun. This book also gave me a lot of dirty puns to say out loud to friends and my significant other, so that they can roll their eyes at me and tell me I'm lame. But yeah, it's an okay romance. So actually, this is the 3rd book out of 3 that are already out, and you can read them separately. I don't think that you have to read them in order. I certainly didn't. I started with this boy toy instead of the other 2. And I am going to read the other 2 because they do sound really interesting, and as I said, the writing was okay. Like, it's fun, it's light, it's easy to read. It doesn't get bogged down by, I think, too much unnecessary stuff. Even the hanky-panky scenes weren't making me roll my eyes too much, so that's okie dokie on my end. And yeah, so that is Reviewing Romance Boy Toy Edition. If you like this video, please give it that thumbs up button. If you like seeing this face talk about books, please hit that subscribe button. And as always and forever, may you be lost in a book.